Hey guys, hope you're having a great weekend. So we're starting a new unit, and this new unit is on systems and matrices. So we're going to be setting up a system of equations. We're going to learn how to solve a system of equations to include matrices. So let's take a look at our first example. Solve each problem using a system of equations. So system means that we have more than one equation. Okay? So let's take a look at this first problem. We have 8 pens and 7 pencils. They cost $3.37. 5 pens and 11 pencils cost $3.10. What is the cost of each pen and each pencil? So the first thing we need to set up here is a variable to represent the cost of each pen and the cost of each pencil. So I like to use letters that kind of correspond to what I'm looking for, but since pen and pencils both start with P, well, obviously I can't use P, so I'm just going to go ahead and go with X and Y. But, so defining my variables, I'm going to call X is going to be the cost of each pen. And I'm just going to choose Y as the cost of each pencil. Okay, so now setting up an equation, we have 8 pens and 7 pencils, and the total cost is $3.37. So in order to figure out how much we spent on pens, obviously we're going to multiply 8 times the cost of each pen. So 8 times X, that would be the cost of each pen. Cost of each pencil is going to be 7Y. And the total cost, so since I'm totaling, I know my total cost, I'm going to add them together since they give me a total. And their total cost is going to be $3.37. So the next equation, we have another situation here. We have 5 pens and 11 pencils, and the cost for that arrangement is $3.10. So using this is a system because we have 2 equations. Okay, we have 2 unknowns, and so we're going to solve this for either X or Y. So there's different methods for solving. One of the methods we could use is elimination method. So an elimination method, let's write this down here. We'll use the elimination method here. And just like it says, we're going to eliminate either an X, the X variable, or we're going to eliminate the Y variable. Because if we eliminate one variable, it's very easy to solve for Y. So let's say we want to eliminate X. So to do that, we want to either make them the same number, or we want it to be opposite, like positive 10 and negative 10. So I'm going to go ahead, I think it's easier if we just make these numbers the same. So I think of a number that 5 and 8 go into evenly. So 5 and 8 both go into 40 evenly. So I'm just going to multiply the top equation by 5, and I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 8. That's going to give me 40 and 40. So multiplying through the top, distributing the 5, and I think I'm going to need a calculator for this part. Let me grab a calculator here. If I can. Okay, so this equation and this equation are equivalent. I just multiplied a 5 by everything. So this equation is like 5 times bigger than this equation. So multiplying this equation through by 8, 8 times 11, and then 8 times 310, which I could probably do in my head. All right. Now, we can easily eliminate my x term by subtracting the two equations. So 35y minus 88 subtracting okay, so right now we're solving for y, so we're dividing by negative 53 on both sides. So y, remember, is the cost of each pencil. We're about to find out. All right, so each pencil is 15 cents. So pencils are 15 cents each. So pens. So we know what y is, so all we have to do is plug this back into one of our equations. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in the first one. And we're going to solve for x. Divide both sides by 8. And we're going to find out that each pen is going to cost us 29 cents. So pens are 29 cents a piece. And that's how you use elimination method to solve a system. All right, let's take a look at number 2. So here we have a shipping company charges a fixed amount for their services and a certain amount per mile they must travel. So if a 50-mile trip costs $112 and an 80-mile trip costs $157, find the fixed cost and the cost per mile. So here's our two variables. This is what we're trying to find. We're trying to find our fixed cost and our cost per mile. So I'm going to go ahead and use F for my fixed cost. So F is going to represent fixed cost. And my cost per mile, I'm going to call that, I'm just going to use M. Cost per mile. Now we have two situations here. We have a 50-mile trip, costs $112, and an 80-mile trip that costs 157 miles. So, first of all, there's a fixed amount and a certain amount per mile. So we don't know what the fixed amount is, okay? So I'm going to set up two equations. So for this first one, the 50-mile trip is going to cost some fixed amount, which we don't know, plus it's a 50-mile trip, so it's going to be 50 times the cost per mile, and that total amount is going to cost us $112. The fixed amount plus the miles times the cost per mile. Next equation, set up the same way, fixed amount. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use substitution method. If I could spell this morning, sorry, someone just opened my door and I lost my train of thought. Okay, so for substitution method, it means that you want to isolate a variable. And the reason why I chose this is very easy to isolate the f in either equation. So I'm just going to pick the first one, and I'm going to isolate the f. So to do that, I'm going to subtract the 50m on both sides. And we have f equals 112 minus 50m. Okay, then I'm going to take that and plug it into the second equation for f. F equals 112 minus 50m. So I'm plugging this into the second equation. So we're going to have 112, plugging that in, plus 80m, kind of like a composition. It's a substitution. And we're going to solve this for m. So on this side, we can combine these two. Solving for m. We're going to do adding and subtracting first. And 4, 5. Remember, we're solving for m here, which is cost per mile. Divide by 30. So 45 divided by 30. So the cost per mile is $1.50. Cost per mile is $1.50. Okay, now that we found our cost per mile, we just plug it in. We'll just plug it into the first one. You can do the second one. We got to find the fixed amount. Solving for f. So our fixed amount is going to be $37. Okay, and so there's two methods. We set up two different situations, and the clue here when doing substitution method, if you can easily solve for one of the variables like we could here, this method is best. If it's not very easy to solve for x or y in either equation, maybe this method might be best, the elimination method. But either way, you can use either method on any system. Now time is running out, so I'm going to have to finish up the rest of this either in another video or in class. But hey, if you get some extra time, why don't you try setting these up on your own, and we'll look it over in class. If I get some time, I'll make another video on this. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care.